There is a kind of restlessness that lives just beneath the surface of the day. You might notice it in the morning, before you've even opened your eyes fully. A slight tension in the chest, a reaching forward into what comes next. The mind already moving, already scanning, already measuring the distance between where you are and where you think you should be. This restlessness does not announce itself with fanfare. It is quiet. It hums along in the background while you make coffee, while you answer messages, while you sit in traffic or stand in line. It is the feeling of a mind that cannot quite settle, cannot quite arrive, even when nothing urgent is happening. If you pause right now and simply notice the quality of your attention, you might sense it. A kind of lean, a subtle pull towards something other than this moment. Not dramatic, just a gentle, persistent current moving beneath awareness. The Buddha used the word tanha to describe this current. It is often translated as craving or desire, but the feeling is closer to thirst, a reaching, a sense that something is missing and must be found. It moves through experience, like water moves through a riverbed, carving channels, shaping the landscape without asking permission. You can feel this thirst in small moments. The urge to check your phone when there is a pause in conversation. The slight dissatisfaction that arises when a meal is merely good, not extraordinary. The way a compliment feels pleasant but fades quickly, leaving you waiting for the next one. These are not moral failures. They are simply the movement of thirst, the way the river flows. Take a breath. Let it come in without effort. Let it leave the same way. Notice that even here, even in something as simple as breathing, thirst can appear. The wanting to do it correctly. The hope that this will finally bring the peace you have been seeking. The river runs through everything. What the Buddha observed, and what you can observe too if you look closely, is that this thirst does not bring satisfaction. It promises relief, but what it delivers is more thirst. You reach the thing you wanted, and for a moment there is pleasure, a sense of arrival. Then the river begins to move again. The mind looks ahead, the reaching resumes. This is not a problem to be solved through effort. It is a pattern to be seen. Right now, you are sitting or lying down. There is the sensation of contact where your body meets the surface beneath you. There is the sound of this voice, or perhaps other sounds in the room. There is breathing happening, the quiet rise and fall of the chest or belly. None of this requires improvement, none of this is lacking. And yet, if you watch carefully, you may notice the mind's habit of moving away from what is here. It drifts into memory, it rehearses future conversations, it evaluates and compares. The river does not stop. The practice is not to dam the river, it is to see the river clearly, to recognize thirst as thirst, to notice the reaching without being swept along by it. When you feel restless, you do not need to fix the restlessness. You can simply name it, restlessness. When you feel the pull toward distraction, you do not need to judge yourself. You can notice, pulling, reaching, the river flowing. This noticing is not detachment. It is not coldness. It is a kind of intimacy with experience. You begin to see how desire moves, how it colors perception, how it whispers that satisfaction is always one step away. And in seeing this clearly, something shifts. Not because you have achieved anything, but because you have stopped pretending the river is not there. Let yourself breathe again. 3 breaths, slow and easy. The dissatisfaction you feel, the background hum of not quite enough, is not a sign that you are doing life wrong. It is the natural result of thirst moving through a mind, the river carving its channels. And the invitation here is not to become someone who no longer desires, but to become someone who sees desire with clarity. When you see the river, you are no longer only the river. There is space, there is breath. There is the simple fact of being here, aware, without needing this moment to be other than it is. We will look more closely now at how this works. not in theory, but in the direct experience of your own awareness. Not by thinking about desire, but by watching it move through the body and mind, seeing where it tightens, where it pulls, where it promises what it cannot deliver. You might think you're calm, you're sitting, your breath is even, there's no crisis in the room. And yet, there's a small tug, a faint itch to check something, shift your weight, remember what you forgot. It's not loud, it's barely there, but it doesn't stop. This is the hum beneath everything. The Buddha spoke of craving as the root of suffering, not dramatic wanting, not always hunger or rage. Sometimes it's just this, a soft, persistent pull toward something else. A quiet refusal to be exactly here, exactly now. It binds us, he said, to endless becoming, always leaning forward, always adjusting, never quite settled. You don't have to believe this as doctrine, you can just notice it. Think of a refrigerator. It hums in the background all day. You stop hearing it, your mind tunes it out. Then one evening, the power cuts and the hum stops. And suddenly you realize, oh, that sound was always there. You were living inside it. Restlessness is like that. It runs so constantly, you forget it's running. You think the problem is this moment, too boring, too plain, not enough. But the problem isn't the moment. It's the hum underneath. The quiet insistence that something should be different. It shows up in small ways. You sit down to rest, and within 30 seconds, your hand reaches for your phone. You finish one task, and immediately scan for the next. You're with someone you love, and part of your mind is already elsewhere. Not because you don't care, just because the hum says more, next, elsewhere, soon. This isn't a moral failure. It's not weakness. It's just craving. A reflex older than language. The mind reaching, adjusting, grasping for solidity in a world that never stops moving. But here's the thing, you can hear it. Sit still for 3 minutes. Don't try to fix anything. Don't make it a performance. Just sit. Notice what happens. Maybe your shoulders want to shift. Maybe your jaw tightens. Maybe a thought arrives. I should be doing something. Maybe your breath wants to speed up or slow down. Maybe there's an itch, a twitch, a small discomfort that wasn't there a moment ago. None of this is wrong. It's just the hum becoming audible. You don't have to stop it. You don't have to win against it. Just notice. Oh, there it is. The pull to move. The pull to think ahead. The pull to be somewhere other than this breath, this body, this moment. When you see it clearly, something shifts. Not because you've defeated craving, but because you've stopped pretending it isn't there. You've stopped living inside the hum without knowing. The restlessness doesn't need a reason. It doesn't wait for a problem to arise. It's already present, humming quietly, even in calm, especially in calm, because calm reveals it. When everything else is still, you finally hear what's been running all along. This is not bad news. This is just true. And seeing what's true is the beginning of freedom. You sit, you notice the small tug to move. You don't move. You notice the thought that says, this is boring. You don't follow it. You notice the breath wants to change. You let it be. And in that small gap between the pull and the response, you hear the hum. That's all. That's the practice. Not once. Not as a fix, just again and again, with patience. Noticing the quiet refusal to rest, noticing the soft insistence that this isn't enough, and slowly you start to recognize it, not as a flaw in you, not as a flaw in the moment, just as craving, the background hum of wanting, the root the Buddha named, the thing that keeps us leaning forward, always becoming, never here. When you recognize it, not as an idea but as a felt presence, you're no longer living inside it without knowing. There is a moment just before you reach for your phone, a small restlessness moves through your chest, your hand lifts slightly, the body leans forward even if you are already sitting still. This is desire before it becomes a thought. We spend most of our lives responding to wanting without ever feeling it directly. We think about what we want, we plan for it, we justify it or resist it. But the actual sensation in the body, the tightness in the throat, the flutter in the belly, the subtle forward tilt, goes unnoticed. In the early teachings, there is a simple instruction. Observe craving as it arises. Not the story of what you want or why you want it, just the raw sensation, a tightness, a reaching, a leaning forward. This is not about stopping desire, it is about seeing it clearly. Think of a hand opening and closing in empty air. The fingers stretch out, grasping at nothing. Then they curl back in, then they reach again. This is what desire does in the body. It moves, it reaches, it contracts, and often it finds nothing solid to hold. You can feel this with something small. A craving for a snack when you are not hungry, the urge to check a message that has not arrived, the pull toward a distraction when you are trying to rest. Pause before you move. Just for a breath. Where in your body do you feel the wanting? Sometimes it is in the chest, a kind of pressure or hollow ache. Sometimes it is in the hands, a tingling readiness. Sometimes it is in the jaw, a subtle clench. The sensation is different for everyone, and it changes depending on what is wanted. But it is always there, a physical signal, quiet and quick. If you catch it, you do not have to do anything with it. You do not have to push it away or give in to it. You just feel it. The tightness, the reaching, the way the body leans slightly forward, as if the thing you want is just out of reach. This noticing is not easy at first. Desire moves fast. By the time you realize you want something, you are often already halfway toward it. The hand is already on the phone. The thought is already spinning a story about why this one thing will make you feel better. But with practice, you begin to catch it earlier. You feel the flutter before the thought forms. You notice the reaching before the hand moves, and in that small gap, something shifts. Desire is no longer invisible. It is not a command you must obey. It is a sensation in the body, like warmth or coolness, pressure or lightness. It arises. It moves through you. And if you do not grab onto it, it fades. The hand opens and closes in empty air. And then, after a moment, it rests. You do not need to want less. You do not need to fix yourself. You only need to feel what is already happening. The tightness, the reaching, the quiet dissatisfaction that hums beneath so many of our days. When you recognize desire as a sensation in the body, it loses some of its urgency. It is still there, but it is no longer the only thing you can feel. You might notice your breath moving in your chest, the weight of your body on the chair, the coolness of the air on your skin. These sensations do not demand anything. They are simply present. Desire asks you to lean forward. Awareness invites you to settle back. Both are available in the same moment. There is a strange restlessness that lives just beneath satisfaction. You get the thing you wanted, the job, the conversation, the meal, the silence after noise, and for a moment everything settles, the wanting stops. The body relaxes. You feel complete. Then something shifts. The completeness fades. The mind begins to move again. A new wanting forms, sometimes so quietly you don't notice it arriving. What felt like enough yesterday feels ordinary today. What you worked toward for months becomes background. The satisfaction you expected to last dissolves like sugar in warm water. This is not a failure of gratitude. It is not ingratitude or greed, though it can wear those faces. It is something more fundamental. The Buddha observed this pattern carefully. He said that desire fulfilled brings only brief pleasure, then the mind seeks again. Not because you are broken, but because this is what desire does. It moves, it reaches. It promises lasting satisfaction, but delivers only moments. Think of drinking salt water to quench thirst. The first sip feels like relief. wetness on the tongue, coolness in the throat. But salt water does not satisfy thirst, it deepens it. The more you drink, the more you need. Desire works this way. Each fulfillment feels like it should be enough. Each one teaches the same lesson. It is not. This is not about denying yourself what you want. It is about seeing what happens after you get it. The pattern repeats so often it becomes invisible. You want the new apartment. You get it. For a week, maybe a month, it feels exactly right. Then the flaws appear. The noise from the street, the lack of light, the distance from the park. Or nothing is wrong at all, but the apartment stops feeling special. It becomes just where you live. You can test this in your own experience. Recall something you once wanted badly, something that occupied your thoughts, something you believed would change how you felt. It might have been an object, a relationship, a change in circumstance. Bring it to mind now. Notice what you feel about it today. If you still have it, does it carry the same weight? Does it still feel like the answer it once seemed to be? Or has it become ordinary, woven into the fabric of your life in a way that no longer sparks anything? If you no longer have it, does its absence still ache? Or has the wanting moved elsewhere, attached itself to something new? This is not to say that nothing matters. It is to see that fulfillment does not end wanting. The mind does not stop seeking just because it gets what it sought. Impermanence moves through everything, including satisfaction. What feels complete today becomes incomplete tomorrow, not because the thing changed, but because the nature of experience is to change. You see this in small ways throughout the day. The first bite of food tastes vivid. The second is pleasant. By the 10th, you are barely noticing. The first moment of rest after work feels like relief. An hour later, restlessness creeps in. The mind is already looking toward the next thing. This is not a problem to solve. It is a pattern to see. When you see it clearly, something shifts. Not the wanting itself, but your relationship to it. You begin to notice the gap between what desire promises and what it delivers. You begin to feel the movement of the mind as it reaches, grasps, and then reaches again. The practice is simple. Just notice. When you get something you wanted, stay close to the experience. Feel the satisfaction when it arrives. Notice how long it lasts. Watch what happens next. Does the mind settle, or does it begin to scan for what is missing, what could be better, what comes next? You do not need to judge this. You do not need to stop wanting. Just see it. See how desire moves. See how satisfaction fades. See how the mind seeks again. When you see this clearly, you begin to understand why the Buddha pointed to desire as the root of dissatisfaction. Not because wanting is wrong, but because it cannot deliver what it promises. Fulfillment does not end wanting. It only pauses it. There is a quiet thought many of us carry. It sounds something like this: when I finish this project, I will rest. When I find the right relationship, I will feel whole. When I have enough saved, I will stop worrying. The mind builds a small story about a future moment when everything finally settles. And yet when that moment arrives, the feeling of arrival does not last. The project ends and a new one begins. The relationship forms and new concerns appear. The savings grow, and the number that once seemed enough no longer does. The peace we imagined does not stay. This is not failure. This is how desire moves. It points towards something just ahead and whispers that completion lives there. The mind believes it. The body leans forward. And the present moment, with all it already holds, goes unnoticed. There is a teaching in Zen that speaks to this. The mind that seeks completion in the future misses the completeness of now. Not as philosophy, as direct observation. The seeking itself creates the sense of incompleteness. The reaching forward makes this moment feel like it is not enough. You can feel this in the body. There is a subtle tension in waiting for things to be different, a tightness in the chest, a restlessness in the hands. The breath shortens slightly. The eyes look past what is here toward what might come. It is not dramatic, it is quiet. But it is there. Imagine walking toward a horizon, the line where the earth meets the sky. It looks close enough to reach. You walk steadily, watching it, but as you move, the horizon moves. It stays the same distance away. You can walk for hours, for years, and it will not come closer. This is not because you are walking incorrectly. This is the nature of a horizon. Desire works this way. It creates a sense of distance between here and there, between now and then, between what is and what should be. The mind says, just a little further. Just one more thing. And the walking continues, the reaching continues, the now remains unseen. This does not mean desire is wrong. It is not something to eliminate or shame. Desire is part of being alive. The body wants food when it is hungry. The mind wants rest when it is tired. These are natural. But there is a difference between responding to a need and living in a story about a future that will finally be enough. The story feels true because it is familiar. You have told it many times. Maybe it sounds like this: when I am healthier, I will be happy. When I am more skilled, I will feel confident. When I am less busy, I will be present. The structure is always the same, a condition in the future, a promise of peace. You can begin to notice this, not to fix it, not to argue with it, just to see it clearly. Choose one story you tell yourself about when things will be better. It does not need to be the biggest one, just one that comes to mind easily. Notice when it appears. Maybe it arises in the morning as you plan the day. Maybe it surfaces at night as you review what happened. Maybe it comes in a moment of discomfort, offering relief that lives somewhere else. Just notice, feel where it lives in the body. Is there a tightness, a leaning forward, a holding of breath? Stay with the sensation. You do not need to change it, just feel it. And then notice what is here in this moment without the story. The breath moving, the weight of the body, the sounds around you, the light in the room. Not as something to achieve, just as what is already present. The mind may resist. It may say, this moment is not enough. That is also just a thought. Let it be there. Return to the breath. Return to the body. Return to what is here. This is not about convincing yourself that everything is perfect. It is about seeing clearly. The future you imagine is a thought happening now. The peace you seek is not located in time. It is here, or it is nowhere. When you see this even once, something shifts, not forever, not dramatically, but the grip loosens slightly. The horizon is still there, but you are no longer walking toward it with the same urgency. You are standing where you are, breathing, feeling, present. The pattern becomes visible, the postponing becomes clear. And in that clarity, there is space. Not because you have arrived somewhere, but because you have stopped leaving. You shift your leg under the blanket. A few minutes later, you adjust your pillow. Then your neck feels slightly off, so you turn your head. The room is too warm. You pull the blanket down. Now it's cool. You pull it back up. None of these movements feel like decisions. They happen so quickly that you barely notice them. But if you watch closely, you'll see something repeating. A small discomfort arises. You move to make it go away. The discomfort fades. Then another one appears. This is how aversion works. It doesn't always look like anger or fear. Most of the time, it's quiet. It's the small, constant wish for what is present to be different. A little less of this, a little more of that. Just not exactly what is here right now. The early Buddhist teachings describe this clearly. Aversion is craving in reverse. It's the wish for what is present to be gone. When we think of craving, we often picture wanting something we don't have. But pushing away is the same movement. It's desire pointing in the other direction. You can feel this in the body, a slight itch on your arm. The impulse to scratch arrives almost instantly. You don't think about it. Your hand just moves. The itch is gone. But then your shoulder feels tight. You roll it back. Then your jaw is clenched. You soften it. Then the itch returns. Each time the discomfort seems like the problem. But the real pattern is deeper. It's the belief that comfort is just one more adjustment away. If you could only get the pillow right, if the temperature were just a little different, if your body would just settle. But it doesn't settle, because the body is always changing. Sensations arise and pass, pressure shifts, temperature fluctuates, the breath moves, and underneath all of it, there's a quiet hum of resistance, a constant, low-level no to what is. This resistance takes effort. Not the dramatic effort of lifting something heavy, but a steady background effort. Like holding a pencil between your fingers all day without realizing your hand is tense. You don't feel it until you stop. The pillow metaphor makes this visible. You adjust it once, it feels better. Then, a few minutes later, it's wrong again. So you adjust it again, and again. You might do this 10 times in a night without ever wondering why the pillow won't stay right. The pillow isn't the problem. The problem is the expectation that there's a position where discomfort will stop arriving. But discomfort is part of being alive. The body is always in conversation with gravity, temperature, and time. Sensations come and go. That's not a flaw. That's how sensing works. When you see this, something shifts. Not because you've solved the problem of discomfort, but because you've seen the pattern of resistance more clearly. Here's a way to practice with this. The next time a small discomfort arises, don't fix it right away. Let it stay for 5 breaths, not as punishment, not to prove anything, just to see what happens when you don't move. Maybe it's an itch. Maybe it's your foot feeling cramped. Maybe it's the waistband of your pants pressing into your side. Choose something small, something that isn't painful, just mildly annoying. Breathe in. The discomfort is there. Breathe out. It's still there. Breathe in. Notice the urge to fix it. Breathe out. Let the urge be there too. Breathe in. Feel the sensation itself, not the story about it. Breathe out. 5 breaths, that's all. Then you can adjust if you want to. What you'll notice is that the discomfort doesn't stay the same. It shifts. It pulses. Sometimes it fades on its own. Sometimes it gets stronger, then softer. It's not as solid as it seemed. You'll also notice the urge to fix it. That urge has a feeling too. A tightness, a leaning forward, a small contraction in the mind. That urge is aversion, and has been running quietly in the background all along. This practice isn't about enduring discomfort, it's about seeing how much energy goes into pushing small things away. How often the mind says no before you even realize you're resisting. How the constant adjusting never quite leads to the comfort you're seeking. When you stop fixing for just 5 breaths, you see how often you've been fixing. How automatic the resistance has become. How much of your attention has been spent managing sensations that were going to change anyway. You wake up and the day begins. Before you even stand, there is a small pull. You want the coffee to taste a certain way. You want the morning light to be softer or brighter. You want the person you live with to speak gently, or maybe not to speak at all. These are not loud demands. They move quietly beneath the surface. But they are there. Each one is a preference. And each preference carries with it a kind of waiting. Waiting for the world to match what you have already decided it should be. This is not wrong. It is simply what the mind does. It reaches forward, imagining how things could be better, smoother, more comfortable. And in that reaching, something tightens. The present moment, exactly as it is, becomes not quite enough. There is an old teaching that speaks to this. To hold tightly to preferences is to carry a burden everywhere you go. Not because preferences themselves are heavy, but because they require constant maintenance. You must check the world against your inner list. You must adjust, resist, hope, and brace yourself when things do not align. Imagine carrying an umbrella on a clear day, just in case. The sky is open, the air is dry. But you hold the umbrella anyway because you have decided that rain might come. Your hand grips the handle, your shoulder adjusts to the weight. You glance up now and then, scanning for clouds. The umbrella becomes part of how you move through the day. This is what preference does when it hardens into expectation. It becomes something you carry even when there is no rain. The dissatisfaction is not always obvious. Sometimes it is just a faint hum beneath your thoughts, a sense that things are almost right, but not quite. You wanted the tea hotter. You wanted the silence longer. You wanted the conversation to go a different way. Each small gap between what is and what you wanted leaves a trace. And the mind, without realizing it, begins to live in that gap. You can feel this in the body. There is a subtle bracing in the chest, a tightness in the jaw. The breath shortens just slightly. You are not at ease because ease requires meeting the moment as it is, not as you planned it. The teaching does not ask you to stop wanting things. It asks you to notice what happens when you hold those wants too tightly. To see the small cost of insisting that the world bend toward your vision of how it should be. Today, you might choose one small preference, not a large one. Not something that feels important, just something ordinary. Maybe you prefer your desk to be clear before you begin working. Maybe you prefer the room to be a certain temperature. Maybe you prefer to hear from someone at a certain time. Notice the preference. Feel where it lives in your body. And then, just for today, let it go without resistance. This does not mean forcing yourself to be indifferent. It means relaxing your grip. If the desk stays cluttered, let it stay. If the room is warmer than you like, feel the warmth without the story that it should be different. If the message does not come, notice the waiting, and then let the waiting dissolve. What remains when you stop insisting? Often it is simply what is. The desk as it is, the warmth as it is, the silence as it is, and in that allowing there is a kind of lightness. The umbrella is set down, your hand is free. You move through the day without the subtle weight of needing things to be other than they are. This is not about perfection. The preferences will return. The mind will continue to shape the world according to its patterns. But each time you notice and release even once, you learn something. You learn that you can meet the moment without armor. That the gap between what is and what you wanted does not have to become suffering. The dissatisfaction was never about the tea or the silence or the message. It was about the tightness of holding. And that tightness can be released. Right now, in this moment, there is nothing you need to fix. The umbrella can rest against the wall. The sky is as it is. And you are here, without the burden of insisting that it be otherwise. You sit down to rest, and within moments the mind begins to move. A small thought arrives, then a plan, then a memory, then something you need to remember later. The silence you hope for becomes a screen where wanting projects its images. This is not wrong. This is what minds do. But it is worth noticing. There is an old observation from Zen practice. In silence, the noise of craving becomes clear. When the outer world quiets, the inner motion reveals itself, not as philosophy, as direct experience. You might sit for 5 minutes without distraction and discover that the mind has already filled that time with commentary, with preferences. With the next thing, it does not wait for permission, it simply moves. This is the nature of desire. It does not announce itself loudly. It hums beneath awareness, shaping what you reach for, what you avoid, what you think you need, and in every gap it offers something to fill the space. Consider a pond when the wind stops. The surface becomes still. You can see through the water now. You can see the movements below that were always there, but hidden by the ripples. The stillness does not create the movement, it reveals it. Silence works this way. When you stop filling the moment with sound or task or thought, what remains is not emptiness. What remains is the mind's own activity, the wanting, the planning, the restless habit of reaching. You do not need to judge this. You do not need to stop it by force. You only need to see it, sit without distraction, not as discipline, as curiosity. Let the silence arrive, let it settle around you. And then notice what the mind does with it. Does it scan for something to fix? Does it replay a conversation? Does it begin to list what comes next? Does it grow uncomfortable and search for relief? These are not failures. These are the movements of craving. Quiet, persistent, automatic, they have been there all along. The silence simply makes them visible. You might notice a small itch and watch the mind decide whether to scratch it. You might notice the pull toward your phone, even when it is not near. You might notice the way a thought about the future feels more solid than the breath moving through your body right now. This is the work. Not to become someone who does not want, but to see wanting as it happens. To feel the gap before the mind rushes to fill it. The pond does not try to be still. The wind stops and stillness is what remains. You do not create silence by effort. You allow it. You stop adding to the noise. And in that allowing, the mind's patterns become clear. Dissatisfaction is not always loud. Often it is just this. The subtle sense that the present moment is not enough, that something else should be happening. That rest is only valuable if it leads somewhere. Sit in silence and let that belief show itself. Let the discomfort of not filling the space become something you can feel, not to conquer it, just to know it. The breath continues. The body sits. The silence holds you, and beneath it all, the mind moves. Wanting, resisting, planning, reaching. You do not need to empty the mind. You only need to stop believing its urgency. You only need to rest in the space before the next thought, the next plan, the next thing. The pond is still, the water is clear, and you can see what has always been moving below. There is a feeling that moves through the day, quiet but persistent. It says, when this happens, then I will be okay. When I have that, then I will be complete. It whispers in the morning before you open your eyes. It hums beneath decisions. It colors the way you see what you have and what you lack. This is desire, but not the loud kind, not craving in the obvious sense. This is the subtle belief that something outside yourself holds the missing piece. A relationship, an achievement, a different body, a better circumstance. The feeling is so familiar, it becomes invisible. You stop questioning it. You simply move toward the next thing, hoping it will quiet the sense that something is not quite right. The Buddha observed this carefully. He did not call it sin or weakness. He called it a misunderstanding. He said that no external thing can fill the inner sense of lack, because the lack itself arises from misunderstanding. Not from what you do not have, from how you see. This is worth sitting with. The assumption is that you are incomplete, that somewhere, in some form, there is a piece that will make you whole. But what if that assumption is the problem? What if the feeling of incompleteness is not evidence that something is missing, but evidence that you are looking in the wrong direction? Imagine a puzzle. You've been told your whole life that it is missing pieces. You search. You try different combinations. You feel the edges, hoping to find the gap. But then someone asks you to look again, not at the pieces, at the puzzle itself. And you see slowly that it was never incomplete. The feeling of incompleteness was not in the puzzle. It was in the belief that the puzzle needed something it did not have. This is what the teaching of non-self points toward. There is no fixed, separate self that needs completing. What you call I is not a solid thing with a hole in it. It is a process, a flow of sensations, thoughts, perceptions, constantly changing. When you believe in a fixed self, you also believe in a fixed lack. And then you search for something to fill it. But the lack is not structural, it is perceptual. It arises from the way you relate to experience, from grasping, from the belief that this moment, as it is not enough. You can feel this directly, not as philosophy, as lived experience. Sit quietly for a moment, notice the feeling of incompleteness if it is there. It might be vague, it might be strong. Do not try to fix it, just notice it. Where does it live in the body? Is it a tightness, a restlessness, a pulling forward? Now ask softly, what is it that feels incomplete? Not why, not what would fix it. Just what is it? Can you find the thing that is incomplete? Can you locate it? Or is there only the feeling, the thought, the sensation of searching? This is not a trick, it is an invitation to look. When you look for the self that is lacking, you may find that it is harder to locate than you thought. There are sensations, there are thoughts, there is awareness of both. But where is the solid, separate thing that needs something outside itself to be whole? The feeling of incompleteness does not disappear immediately. That is not the point. The point is to see it clearly, to recognize it as a feeling, not as truth. To notice that it arises, persists for a while, and fades, like everything else. When you stop believing the feeling is evidence of a real gap, something shifts. Not dramatically, quietly. You may still want things, but the urgency softens. The belief that your okayness depends on getting them loosens. You begin to see that the sense of lack is not because something is missing. It is because you have been taught to see yourself as incomplete. This is not about convincing yourself you are whole. It is about questioning the assumption that you are not. About noticing when the feeling arises and asking without judgment what it actually is. Not what it says, what it is. Try this as you move through your day. When the feeling comes, the one that says you need something to be okay, pause, feel it, locate it if you can, and ask, what is it that feels incomplete? You may not find an answer. That itself is the beginning of seeing. You reach for your phone before you know you've decided to. Your hand is already moving. The screen lights up, and only then do you notice what just happened. A moment ago, there was stillness. Now there is scrolling. This happens dozens of times a day. The hand moves toward the snack. The mind pulls toward the next task. The body leans into comfort or away from discomfort. And most of the time, we only notice after the movement has already begun. Desire is not always loud. It does not always announce itself. Often it moves beneath the surface of awareness, quick and automatic, like a reflex. By the time we recognize it, we are already following it. The early teachings point to something subtle here. They suggest that craving arises in a flash, before thought, before decision. If we can see that flash, we see the beginning of dissatisfaction, not the object we want, not the story about why we want it, just the impulse itself, raw and bare. There is a moment, very brief, when the body tenses before action. A cat about to pounce goes still first. The muscles gather, the eyes focus. There is a pause, almost invisible, between stillness and leap. We have that pause too. Before the hand reaches, before the thought hardens into plan, before the wanting becomes doing. It is easy to miss because it is so fast, but it is there. You can begin to notice it in small moments. Sitting quietly, you feel the urge to check your phone. Do not move yet, just notice. There is a pull, a tightness, a subtle leaning forward in the mind. The body might shift slightly. The breath might change. This is the impulse, just before it becomes action. Or you are working, and the thought comes, I need a snack. The body begins to rise. But if you pause, just for a breath, you can feel the wanting itself. Not hunger necessarily, not even a clear thought, just a restless energy, a small tension that wants to move toward something. This is not about stopping yourself. It is not about control or discipline. It is simply about seeing. The impulse arises. You feel it. You name it quietly, wanting. And then you let a breath pass before you move. Sometimes you will still reach for the phone. Sometimes you will still get the snack. That is fine. The practice is not to eliminate desire. It is to see it clearly, to catch the moment it appears before it sweeps you along. When you see the impulse before it becomes action, something shifts, the automaticity loosens. There is space. You are not ruled by the reflex, you are aware of it. And in that awareness, you have a choice, not a forced choice, a natural one. The more you practice this, the more you notice how often the impulse arises, how often the mind reaches, pulls, leans. It is constant, and most of it is unnecessary. The body does not need the snack, the mind does not need the distraction, but the pattern is strong and it runs on its own. Catching the impulse is like catching the cat mid-tense. You see the gathering before the leap. And in seeing it, you are no longer lost in it. You are present. The craving is there, but you are not identical to it. It is a sensation, a movement of energy passing through. You can practice this anywhere. Sitting with a cup of tea, notice the urge to check the time. Standing in line, notice the pull toward your phone. Lying down to rest, notice the impulse to get up and do one more thing. Each time, just pause. Feel the tension. Name it softly. Let one breath pass. This is how dissatisfaction begins to loosen. Not by fighting it, not by improving yourself, but by seeing the very first flicker of grasping before it takes hold. The impulse arises. You see it. You do not follow it automatically. And in that small gap, there is freedom. There is a quiet restlessness that moves through most days. You finish one thing and immediately reach for the next. You sit down and notice the chair is slightly uncomfortable, so you shift. The room feels too warm, so you adjust. A thought arrives that you don't like, so you try to think something better. This is so ordinary that it barely registers. But if you watch closely, you'll see it everywhere. The moment as it is feels incomplete. Something small needs fixing. The light, the posture, the mood, the silence. Always something. This reaching is desire. Not the loud kind that announces itself. The quiet kind. The kind that whispers that now would be better if it were slightly different. There's an old teaching that points directly at this. When you stop trying to improve the moment becomes enough. Not better, not perfect, just enough. It's a strange thing to hear, because the habit of adjustment runs so deep. You've been taught to optimize, to refine, to make things work. And some of that is useful. But it bleeds into everything. Even rest becomes something to improve. Even stillness becomes a project. And so dissatisfaction hums quietly in the background, not always loud, just present. A low-grade sense that something is slightly off. A tree stands in wind. The branches move, the leaves turn and scatter. But the tree doesn't try to be still. It doesn't brace against the wind or wish for calm. It simply stands. The movement happens. The tree remains. This is not passivity. The tree is fully alive, rooted, present. But it doesn't add resistance to what's already occurring. You can feel this in your own body. Right now, without changing anything, notice what's here. The weight of your body where it rests, the temperature of the air, the sounds in the room or outside, the rhythm of your breath. Now notice the small impulse to adjust, to make it better, to fix the posture or deepen the breath or quiet the mind. Just notice that impulse. You don't have to act on it, just see it. This is the beginning, seeing the reaching before it moves you. For 10 breaths, let everything be exactly as it is. Don't try to breathe better. Don't try to relax more. Don't try to feel calm or centered or present. Just let the breath move as it moves. Let the body be as it is. Let sounds come and go. Let thoughts arrive and drift. If the impulse to adjust comes, notice it. Let it be there too. You don't have to fight it. Just don't follow it. 1 breath. The air moves in. The air moves out. 2 breaths. Sensation in the chest. Sensation in the belly. 3 breaths. A sound outside, a thought passing. 4 breaths. The body exactly as it is. 5 breaths, no improvement needed. 6 breaths, the moment untouched. 7 breaths, stillness not forced. 8 breaths, presence without effort. 9 breaths, everything allowed. 10 breaths, enough. There is a certain tightness in the chest when something we care about begins to slip away. A friendship changes. A season ends. A feeling we wanted to stay begins to fade. The instinct is to hold on, to grip a little harder, to replay what was good and wonder how to keep it from leaving. This is desire at work, not in its loud form, but in its quietest one. The form that whispers, if I let go, I will have nothing. If I release this, I will be empty. So we hold on. And the holding itself becomes the ache. The Mahayana tradition offers a different way of seeing. It suggests that letting go is not loss. It is the compassionate release of what was never ours to keep. This is not a cold teaching. It is not about detachment in the sense of not caring. It is about recognizing that clinging to what moves and changes only tightens the knot. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hand. You found it resting on a leaf, and for a moment it stayed with you. Its wings are delicate. Its presence is brief. If you close your hand around it, you will crush it. If you open your hand, it will leave. But opening your hand is not rejection. It is not indifference. It is care. The butterfly was never yours. It landed near you. It rested for a time, and now it continues on its way. Most of what we hold in life is like this: a conversation that moved us, a moment of ease, a person we love. These are not possessions. They are meetings. They arrive, they unfold, they shift. And when we try to freeze them in place, we create suffering for ourselves and sometimes for others. The dissatisfaction we feel is not because things change. It is because we believe they should not. We believe that if something is good, it must stay. If something brings joy, we must secure it. But this belief itself is the source of the tightness. When you notice yourself gripping, you can pause. You can feel the grip itself. It often lives in the shoulders, the jaw, the breath. It is not wrong to grip. It is human. But you can notice it without judgment and ask, what if I softened here? This softening is not giving up. It is not resigning yourself to loss. It is recognizing that the thing you are holding was always in motion. Your hand around it does not stop the motion. It only makes the motion painful. Letting go can be an act of care. Care for yourself first. When you release the grip, you release the tension. You allow your own body to rest. You stop bracing against the inevitable. And in that release, there is often more space than you expected. Not emptiness in the fearful sense. Space in the sense of room to breathe. It is also care for what you are releasing. When you let the butterfly leave, you honor its nature. When you let a moment end, you allow it to be what it was without demanding it, become something else. This is a form of respect, a form of love even. Today you might try this. Choose one small thing you have been holding tightly, not the largest grief, not the deepest fear, something smaller, a preference about how your day should go, an expectation of someone else, a wish for a feeling to return. Notice where you feel the holding. Is it in your chest, your hands, your thoughts circling back again and again? Then, gently, imagine opening your hand. You do not have to let go forever. You do not have to make a grand decision. Just for this moment, soften the grip. Feel what it is like to hold something lightly or not at all. If sadness comes, let it. If relief comes, let that too. You are not doing this perfectly. You are simply practicing the motion of release. And as you do, notice the butterfly does not disappear when you open your hand. It simply moves as it was always going to move. And you, with your hand open, are free to watch it go without the pain of crushing it or the exhaustion of holding on. This is how desire quietly loses its grip. Not through force, not through shame, but through the repeated, gentle practice of opening. You reach for something small, a message, a snack, a moment of relief, and for a second it works. Then the wanting returns, quieter but still there, looking for the next thing. This is not wrong. This is how desire moves. It does not announce itself. It simply leans forward again and again, as if the next breath of satisfaction will finally be enough. But the breath itself does not do this. The breath does not crave the next breath. It simply comes and goes. This is not philosophy. This is something you can feel right now. The inhale arrives without asking permission. The exhale releases without needing approval. There is no agenda in the body's breathing, no plan, no reaching. And yet, somewhere in the mind, there is always a small voice saying, "What next?" You might notice this voice most when you sit still. When there is nothing urgent to do, the mind begins to search. It looks for something to solve, something to improve, something to want. It is not cruel, it is just habit. The Buddha observed this carefully. He saw that craving is not always loud. Sometimes it is just a faint hum beneath everything else, a subtle dissatisfaction that colors even peaceful moments. He also saw that the breath does not participate in this. The breath has no opinion about whether this moment is enough. It simply continues. Think of waves arriving on shore. They do not plan their approach. They do not hesitate or second guess. They rise, they break, they return. There is no effort in this, no ambition. The wave does not want to be a better wave. Your breath is like this. It does not want anything from you. You can test this now. Let the breath move as it already moves. Do not deepen it. Do not control it. Just notice that it is happening. The inhale comes. You do not make it come. The exhale goes. You do not push it away. In this simple noticing, there is a gap, a small space where wanting is not present. The breath does not need you to fix it or improve it or make it more spiritual. It is already complete. This is not a metaphor for something else. This is the thing itself. When you return to the breath this way, without agenda, you are practicing a very old form of freedom. You are letting one part of your life be exactly as it is. And in that letting, something shifts. The mind, which was leaning forward into the next moment, begins to settle. Not because you forced it, but because the breath showed it how. You might notice thoughts still arriving. Plans, memories, small worries. That is fine. Let them come like waves. Let them go like waves. The breath continues underneath. You do not need to empty the mind. You do not need to achieve stillness. You only need to notice that the breath wants nothing from you. This is enough. When you feel the pull of wanting again, and you can return here. Not as a fix, not as a solution, just as a place where peace is already happening. The breath does not wait for you to be ready. It is already here, arriving and leaving without effort or plan. You can rest in that. We've been sitting with desire for a while now, not fighting it, not chasing it away, just watching how it moves through the body and mind, how it colors what we see, how it whispers that something is missing even when nothing has changed. This isn't work that finishes. There's no moment when you've solved desire, when you've finally gotten it right and can move on to something else. the mind will continue to reach. It will continue to construct stories about what would make this moment better. That's what minds do. They've been doing it for a very long time. What shifts is the quality of attention we bring to this reaching, how quickly we notice it, how much space we can hold around it, whether we believe every story it tells. You might sit down tomorrow and find yourself lost in wanting for 20 minutes before you remember to look. That's fine. You might catch it in 3 breaths. That's fine too. The practice isn't about perfect awareness. It's about returning. Again and again, without drama, we return to what's actually here. Impermanence helps with this. Not as a philosophy to memorize, but as something you can feel. The wanting that seemed so solid 5 minutes ago has already shifted. The dissatisfaction that felt permanent this morning has changed shape by evening. Even the deepest longings move and fade and return in different forms. This isn't meant to be sad. There's a tenderness in it. Nothing has to carry the weight of being forever. The difficult moment doesn't have to define you. The pleasant moment doesn't have to be grasped and held until it breaks. Everything that arises will pass. Everything that passes makes room for what comes next. When you see this clearly, not just as an idea but as lived experience, something softens. The urgency loosens. You can let this breath be this breath. You can let this moment be enough, not because you've achieved some special state, but because you've stopped arguing with what is. Desire will still come. Of course it will. You'll still want things. You'll still move toward what feels good and away from what feels bad. But maybe there's a little more space around it now. Maybe you can feel the wanting without becoming it. Maybe you can notice the dissatisfaction without building a whole identity around fixing it. This is quiet work. It doesn't announce itself. No one will give you a certificate for noticing that you're lost in craving. There's no achievement here, which is exactly the point. We're learning to be with what is, as it is, without needing it to be different. We're learning that peace isn't found in getting what we want, but in understanding the nature of wanting itself. The path continues. It always continues. Each moment is another opportunity to see clearly. Each breath is another chance to return. You don't have to do this perfectly. You don't have to do it at all. But if you choose to keep looking, the looking itself becomes easier. Not because desire disappears, but because you learn to meet it with less resistance and more curiosity. You can carry this with you into the next hour, the next conversation, the next moment of wanting something to be different than it is. You can pause, you can feel the breath, you can notice what's happening without immediately trying to change it. That small pause is everything. There's gratitude in this practice. Not the forced kind, but the quiet recognition that we can learn to suffer less, that we can see through the stories that keep us restless, that we can find steadiness even when everything is moving. This is enough. This has always been enough. If you'd like to continue sitting with these ideas, there are other reflections here that might support your practice. But there's no hurry. What matters is the quality of attention you bring to your own experience, wherever you are. The teachings are just pointing. The real work is in the looking. For now, let there be quiet. Let there be breath. Let there be this moment, exactly as it is, without needing to add anything to it or take anything away.